the staggering rate of female military veterans. This is another one of the gates of hell that George W. Bush and that war criminal Dick Cheney opened, and Don Rumsfeld and the whole bunch of them opened when they decided that going to war for political purposes was just a great idea, which is exactly what Bush did. In fact, in 1999, he told Mickey Herskowitz, his biographer, that he intended to go to war for political purposes, so he could get himself reelected and he could get Social Security privatized. New government research, this is from the LA Times, Alan Zarembo. New government research shows that female military veterans commit suicide at nearly 6 times the rate of other women. For women ages 18 to 29, veterans kill themselves at nearly 12 times the rate of non-veterans. This is among women. Now, among men, veterans are more likely to commit suicide too. Why? I mean, they ask. It's not clear what's driving the rates. But 1 in 10 women in the military has been raped, according to official statistics. So that might be part of it. But more likely, it's just war is hell. These women were in war zones. I mean, unless you've been in a war zone, unless you've seen, dead bodies on the ground, it's like movies don't do it. And this is like the deepest wounding possible. And George W. Bush did this and killed thousands of our soldiers and hundreds of thousands of Iraqis and displaced millions of Iraqis and destroyed the stability of the Middle East, all so he could privatize Social Security. And we had and Vince Bugliosi, the man who prosecuted Charles Manson, wrote a book about it called Helter Skelter, one of the most famous prosecutors in the history of America. Vince Bugliosi was on this program. When was this clip, Jim? Do we know? Oh, it's on the sheet that you gave me. Yeah, okay. This is from December 16th of last year, so this isn't all that far ago. Vince died yesterday at the age of 80 from a recurrence of a cancer he'd been fighting. A good man. We wrote competing theory books about the Kennedy assassination. We disagreed on that, but we pretty much agreed on everything else. And here is Vince Bugliosi, an homage. This is a 4-minute clip of my conversation with him, laying out his case for prosecuting George W. Bush. I am very pleased and honored to invite back to the program, have back on the program, one of my favorite people, one of the people for whom I have absolutely mind-bogglingly tremendous respect, the renowned prosecuting attorney, the author of several books, including his expose, The Prosecution of George W. Bush for Murder, and, of course, the author of Helter Skelter. He's the guy who put Charlie Manson in prison. Vince Bugliosi. Mr. Bugliosi, welcome back to the program.
Let's talk about Bush first on the murder thing. The evidence is overwhelming, Tom, that Bush took this nation to war in Iraq on a lie, under false pretenses, and therefore under the law of the land. I'm not talking about the International Criminal Court. I'm talking about the law of the land. He's guilty of murder for the deaths of 4,500 American soldiers, young American soldiers, who died in the Iraqi war, and also for 500,000 innocent Iraqi men, women, and children who died horrible deaths because of Bush's war. I've established jurisdiction to prosecute Bush for the 4,500 American soldiers. I have not established jurisdiction for the 500,000 innocent Iraqis. However, that doesn't eliminate his culpability for those murders. Bush told 2 lies, Tom, to the American people leading up to the war in Iraq. The first lie was that Hussein was an imminent threat to the security of this country, and actually he was as much of a threat to the security of this country, Tom, as you or I or an aunt of mine who lives up in Minnesota. And number 2, he led the American people, Tom, to believe that Hussein was involved in 9/11, and there's not a speck of evidence to support that. Now, there are many pieces of evidence against him that I bring out in my documentary, The Prosecution of an American President. By the way, that documentary is based on the book, The Prosecution of George W. Bush for Murder, and then we've added new things, particularly in the area of Obama. Let me talk about one of the main pieces of evidence. I've already discussed this with you, but it needs to be reiterated. with respect to the first lie, and keep these dates in mind because the dates are important, October the 1st, 2002, the CIA sent to the White House, Tom, its classified top-secret National Intelligence Estimate report on Iraq. The report was the consensus of all 16 federal intelligence agencies, mostly the CIA. Page 8 of the report, Tom, clearly says that Iraq was not an imminent threat to the security of this country. Yet, unbelievably, and there's no other word I can think of, just 6 days later, on October the 7th, in Bush's first televised speech to the nation on the alleged Iraqi threat, he told millions, Tom, of unsuspecting Americans the exact opposite of what his own CIA had told him 6 days earlier. He told the American people that Hussein was, quote, a great danger to our nation, even though he'd just been told by the CIA and 15 other intelligence agencies that he was not a threat. He said that Hussein was a great danger to our nation, either by his attacking us with his weapons of mass destruction or giving his weapons of mass destruction to some terrorist group to do so. He said this could happen, quote, on any given day. In other words, the threat was imminent. Now, going back to these days again, the classified NIE report, National Intelligence Estimate, was October the 1st, 2002. On October the 4th, 3 days later, the Bush administration issued an unclassified version of this report, one they could show to Congress and the American people. And in this unclassified version, it came to be known, Tom, you probably remember, it came to be known as the White Paper. The CIA's conclusion that Hussein was not an imminent threat was completely deleted. And I told Congress that when I testified before them, completely deleted in its entirety from the White Paper. So Congress and the American people never saw any of this. It doesn't get any worse than this, Tom. So we know, not think, but know, that Bush and his gang of criminals like Cheney and Rove and Rice took this nation to war on a lie, a war in which over 500,000 precious human beings have died horrible, violent deaths. Yet unbelievably, Tom, up to now, they got away with all of this.
Vince Bugliosi, my friend, rest in peace. The world is a little less bright without him in it.